Earlier this year, Kelly and I went to the Midwest, just did a little driving tour, and part of that tour we came to parts of Iowa. I believe it was Madison County. You remember the Clint Eastwood movie, Bridges of Madison County? I actually came to two of those old covered bridges that were shown there in the Clint movie. And while there, it reminded me, there's a few bridges here at the foot of the California Gold Country that I've not been to in a while. That is the old Grange Road behind me. Not necessarily part of our story today, at least not directly. And we'll get to that in a moment. So there's a few other things I want to show you over here. By the way, right behind me is the county OHV park here in Stanislaus County, that is. You can probably hear some of the dirt bikes off in the distance there. But what's curious about this is actually an old dredging field. I'll show you some video of that here in a moment from when I put Louie up in the air. That's an old dredging area. And prior to that, if I'm saying it correctly, this is an old ancient river channel from, I think you pronounce it, the Pleistocene area in the geologic world. Pleistocene? Anyway, that's back in geologic time to when the rivers here in this part of the world flowed north to south. These days, of course, here in California, they flow east to west, down into the valley. But let's not dig too deep into that right now. So let's head on down the hill. We're going to try and get over to an old dredge prior to getting to some of those old bridges. Mostly what I want to do, I came up here today because really what I wanted to do, I just want to take some photos of these old bridges. And the skies are not quite what I was looking for, but hey, we'll work around it. And at least we won't have harsh sunlight. We're just going to have gray skies. So I wanted to get some photos and thought, why not take in a little bit of history while we're here? All right, so let's get on our way. All right, I don't know if you're all seeing that. Okay, if you see that tree on our right there, straight ahead, I mean basically right in the middle of your screen, way off in the distance, that's an old dredge. Now, the dredges here, by the way, we are probably about 2 miles south of the Grange, and still working our way to the bridge. But that is an old dredge. Those operated from about 1880 up until about 1950, 1951. I'm going to put Louie up in the air. We're going to fly out there and see what we can find. But look at that right there. All right, Tuolumne Gold Dredge. Behind this monument rests the historic Tuolumne Gold Dredge, which started operation at Patricksville, just east of this location, on June 15, 1938. That's interesting. I've never actually heard of Patricksville. All right. Said it floated on a self-created pond of water. It was larger than a football field, weighed over 2,500 tons, and cost $543,000 to construct and used electricity to operate. That electricity drove 124,000-pound buckets. Drove those 70 feet deep to recover gold. It ceased operation in July of 1951. Wow, that is something. By the way, this whole field right here in front of you, this was dredged. And this is the old river channel we talked about earlier from the Pleistocene era. So this is an ancient riverbed that flowed north to south. And the OHV park is right over here across the highway. And that was part of that old riverbed. And so they dredged roughly about 1.5 miles in length from up on the hill down this old river channel to where it rests now. If I remember right, it's at 1.5 miles in length and about 1/4 mile wide. Wow, and you can see some of the old tailings right here. These are old tailings right here in front of you. In fact, let me, that's the tailings pile there. And then off in the, you can see them over here as well. The old tailings. Fascinating stuff, man. Hard to believe that was as recent, well, I say recent, relatively recent as 1951. All right, that was a good session. I remember coming here years ago and as teens, and of course, it wasn't near as restricted as it is now. Obviously, it's you can't hike down in there these days. But back then we could hike down in there, and the dredge, since that time, the dredge has been partially dismantled. The story we were told is that part of it's been moved to Canada. And I guess the plan was they were going to move all of it, but that didn't happen for whatever reason. So what you're seeing, or what you're going to see here, is basically what remains of it, which is basically the main structure itself, but some of the booms are gone. A lot of it's been dismantled and taken to, again, Canada, or another story said it actually went to Alaska. So I don't know, who knows. We're going to be in the Grange here in a little bit, and I'll show you some of those big buckets they were talking about. And anyway, kind of cool to see it still there. So kind of sad as well. All right, we're going to move, before I go to the Grange, I want to take you to 2 other spots. One directly related to this dredge, the other one not so much, but still a cool little piece of history. And then eventually, of course, we're going to get on to taking those photos I came up here for. At least I think we are. Okay, we're still about 2 miles out of Lagrange, and we're on the high side of, actually a little west of Lagrange, and we're on J59. That's that busy road with all the traffic noise behind us. But I want to show you something. Okay, look over here. See where this this cow is there, just kind of looking over at us, like wondering what we're doing. Look at that pathway he's on. I'm calling it a pathway because I don't know if this is an old stage road, an old mining road. What was it? But you see off to the right side of him, you see all the rocks there? Well, here's what's interesting. This road, I'm going to call it, wraps all the way around these hills. You can see it off in the distance over, right over in here. And it just continues all the way around these hills. And if you continue coming around, you'll see that it follows that pathway, and it actually goes over to the OHV park where we were just at, and goes through there as well. And then back to our left here, kind of looking east, you'll see where it comes out to this hill, to the edge of the hill. Now, it looks like when they cut the new highway, they took part of that old path with them. And I would take it to the other side of this hill and show you, on the other side over there. But there's nowhere to park on the shoulder, real narrow, so I can't show you. But it continues on. It looks like it goes all the way until Lagrange. My question is, what was this road? What was it used for? So I've done all the research on it that I know to do, and I can't find any information on it. So if you have any idea what this road is, please let us know. Let us know. Just a little west of Lagrange. And this was, by the way, we're going to get into that a little bit later in the story probably, but this was predominantly a French gold mining settlement here along the Tuolumne River. And eventually it was a pretty good mix of French, Mexican, and American miners, ranchers, and farmers. So unlike a lot of gold communities that existed solely on gold mining, Lagrange was a combination of those three. I've gone by this place probably 100 times over the years and never actually stopped. All right, we've turned off of Highway 132 just a few miles, maybe a mile and a half downstream from Lagrange, and came across this. We just left the dredge, and check this out. And by the way, I should point out that the Tuolumne River that they were dredging, in addition to the area we were in, is right over here, across 132 where that truck's at right now. So that's the Tuolumne River. They would have been dredging that area and all this area around us. But look at this. It says, in this stand of eucalyptus trees lie the remains of the Lagrange Gold Dredging Company camp. Here, unmarried miners lived in a small community while they operated the huge dredging machines near and on the Tuolumne River. The camp was abandoned in 1951 when the price of gold no longer paid the cost of recovering it. How about that? I don't see any ruins here, but I'm going to put Louie up and see if we can find something back there. By the way, today this has been repurposed as a Kiwanis youth camp. How about that? Nice area. If it weren't for the Highway 132 traffic behind us, this would be very, very peaceful. Tranquil even. All right, Joel, I want to read you something. This is from the Modesto News Herald, March 15, 1933. And it goes like this. It's a short article. It says, old-time miner dies at LaGrange. A resident of LaGrange for the past 63 years, Angelo Basso, 86, died at his home near the eastern Stanislaus County community Tuesday. Basso, born in Basso, Italy, left his native country when he was 17 and arrived in San Francisco in 1863. Upon his arrival at LaGrange, he engaged in placer and hydraulic mining. In 1902, he was employed by the county supervisors to run a ferry across the Tuolumne River, which he did until 1912 when a bridge was built below LaGrange. And anyway, it goes on to talk about his family. So, all right, why is that significant? Well, let's have a look at something here. All right, look at this, the old Basso Bridge, constructed 1912 and operated all the way until 1987. How about that? So this is an approach going up to the bridge. Wow, look at this. How about this? This is cool. Actually, this is the original Highway 132. Came through here, I'm thinking. Came along here, and then this was the road off to River Road. So wow, this is something else. Look at this. So this is where Mr. Basso would have set up his ferry, I'm assuming, right down in here. Now, when the first French arrived here near LaGrange, and again, we're about 1.5 miles downstream, from what I read, they actually set up their town right here. And then there were floods, I believe it was 1850, 1851. Wow, look how pretty this is. And those floods basically took everything with them. So they set up a new town a little bit upstream, where we're going to be headed to next. And on higher ground, as you'll see. But this was the original site of, was it French Bar? Oh wow, I just read this yesterday. It wasn't French Camp, French Bar, I believe. I'll look it up real quick when we get back to the car. But look at this, this is a beautiful area. Yep, this would have been a nice area to set up town. With the exception of the floods, of course. But look at this, y'all. Wow. And this is the old Basso Bridge. You look at the amount of traffic these days, and we're 2024, and I know there's a lot more traffic now than there was back in when they turned this into a pedestrian bridge. But it's kind of interesting to believe that this narrow bridge made it all the way into the modern era. This had to be a very, very congested bridge at the time they took it out of service. 1911, Board of Supervisors, they list them, and then here it is, Pacific Construction Company Contractors. Wow. You know what's interesting? Think about this, 1911, the bridges in the Central Valley that we explored in some previous videos, maybe I'll put those clips up if I have room in this video. Those are built in, the one on the Merced River outside of Livingston was built in 1910. The other one was built, the Schaefer Bridge, built in 1912. And this one's built in 1911, came into service in 1912. That, interesting. A lot of bridge building going on in and around this area at that time. And by the way, for those who are interested, kind of like me, this is considered a Pennsylvania through truss. It's a one really long continuous span. So it's meaning that it's only supported on each end. I think this thing was, 200? Was this 268 feet long? I'll put it in the bottom of the screen, or when I read up on it again. But yeah, one long continuous span. I really like these through truss bridges, especially where they have everything going overhead, man. That's, which I guess that's a through truss bridge. But that's something else. Beautiful piece of work. They got it made, man. They got it made. If you're a horse, life on the Tuolumne is good. By the way, we're not going to be having any aerial video of this bridge, the Basso Bridge, or the old Grange Bridge that we're going to next. Why? Because Louis has failed me again. We were recording that piece I just showed you, and it just stopped recording, saying that the card was full. There's no way the card's full, so maybe I had a card failure. Hopefully what I recorded can be salvaged, but anyway, we're on foot for the bridges, which is fine, but I just definitely like to show some overhead of these old historic structures. They're just a really cool perspective. So anyway, we got to go with that for now. All right, we've come maybe another mile down west down River Road, and I've gone by this bridge so many times on motorcycle, bicycle, just driving through, riding through. Never stopped to see it, but look at this old piece of road. Just sitting out here in the woods, man, right off the road. That's good stuff. I'm looking for a date on it, but I'm not finding a date stamp yet. Oh wow, look at that, look at that. There's a big old buck beyond that tree, see him? Big old buck. Big buck. Oh, he's kind of looking over at us, look at that. Hopefully you can see him. All right between the bridge and the trees. See him moving back in there? Oh, look at that. He's, I don't know if he's kind of walking quietly or if he's injured, but hopefully you can see him back there. Ah, he is beautiful. Beautiful. Well, I feel a little bit redeemed. It is called French Bar, which ultimately became the Grange. But here's what I wanted to show you. Here's one of those buckets off the dredge. These things are huge. These things are a beast. So basically it's saying this bucket, 1 of 100, holds 12 cubic feet and is from one of the world's largest dredges. The Tuolumne Gold Dredging Company started operation at this dredge on June 15, 1938 and continued until 1949. And cool little historic area right here. It's small but cool. First adobe building in LaGrange, right here. And then across the street is the trading post, now a museum. And then that's the, let me show you this. Yeah, like I say, a small historic area, but it's cool. Some cool buildings. And by the way, this building here was built in 1850, 1851. All right, here's one that we all enjoy. The old jail. 1856 to 1862. Oh wow, this didn't run that long. Wow, all right. Well, a 2-room cell, huh? Look at that. Looking a little closer at this adobe building. This is pretty cool. But look at this old building. Wow, boy, it's looking rough right here. Ooh. Yep, it has seen better days, but it's still here. This back porch is barely still here, but it's still here. You know, I'm spending a lot of time looking at the dredging operations here, but here's what's interesting. Grange had 4 types of mining: placer mining, hydraulic mining, underground mining, and dredging, all going on at certain times. Now, once the placer played out, I think that was around between 1860 and 1880, it started kind of playing out. That's when the hydraulic mining the dredging really kicked off, and that lasted for about 1880, as I mentioned before, 1880 to 1950. All right, so we're going to move on. I want to show you, I showed you where Old Grange Road, I should say, took off from the main highway, which that would have been LaGrange Road back in the day. I want to show you where it comes into town, up here by the post office. And there's an old schoolhouse here too. If I can find that, I'll show it to you. It is 1 room with handmade furnishings, porch and bell tower. Legend has it that Bret Hart taught school here on his journey to the Sierra Goldfields. Wow, look at this. Ooh, I was going to go up on that porch and peek through the window, but maybe not. It's interesting too. If you look, we're kind of at the top of a hill, man, and the Grange itself down below. Wow, look at that. Hopefully you can see all that. Maybe that's a little better for you guys. Look at that. 1-room schoolhouse. Right behind these gates, guys, is the old original LaGrange Road that came into town, all locked up now. All right, well, and that's it right there. And so I'm guessing how it worked was you came in on Old Grange Road, you came down this hill, that's the same hill that we came up earlier on the way up here to the schoolhouse. And you came into town. Wow, look at this. Wow, look at these buildings. Wow. And you got down here to Main Street, which today this is Highway 132, and you would have made a right. I've always thought this is interesting, coming down here, and again, we're coming off of Main Street, and coming down the hill to the bridge. The incline here, man, this thing is so steep. I've always thought this is interesting, that this would have been quite a climb for vehicles back in the day. All right, let's go have a look. Well, we're at the old LaGrange Bridge. I'll talk about that in a moment. I was going to walk down this trail here, but this is looking, yeah, that's looking very active and occupied. So, which is too bad. There's some of the old mining camps are down there. All right, some real quick history. Things are a little bit different here at the LaGrange Bridge compared to the Basso Bridge. There was a ferry operating here early on, I think about 1852. It operated until about 1880. There was an old bridge, original bridge that was built here in 1880. That operated up until about 1914, and then they built this bridge here that we're gonna go look at now. Now, what's curious about it? the two original ferry operators here at Grange, they didn't name the bridge after them. I guess they didn't have the hookup like Basso did. So they just named it the Grange Bridge. Now this operated, again, from 1914 up until, I gotta look at the dates on it, but I think until 1978 or something. I'll look. I'm kind of embarrassed from not knowing that. Anyhow, let's go down and have a look at it. I want to shoot some videos of it and see if we can get some photos. It's pretty quiet. There's one guy roaming around down here. We'll see what what's all about with him. But yeah, let's go have a look. This is it, man. Look at this thing. Now, what I want to show you, though, this is where it gets really crazy. Look up the hill here. I mean, that's a long way up to down. So, imagine you had to get a run and start at it. Some of these trees look like they've been around since back when this bridge was in operation. Now, this bridge here, compared to the Basso, this is what do they call it? Again, for people that care about such things like me. This is what do they call it? Yeah, Pratt through Struss bridges instead of the long Pennsylvania Struss that we saw over at the Basso. This is actually 2 spans. But this is actually a much longer bridge. I want to say this one is, oh well, I'm not even going to guess. Let me put it in the notes. I've already forgotten that too. Man, just an embarrassing day of forgetting stuff. But look at this thing. Wow. You know, opposite end of the bridge. And you can see where this road goes right up the side of the hill. We're going to drive over there in a moment. I'm going to see if I can get down there. I think you can. I think on Google Earth it showed that you can get down here. Yeah, but look at this, man. This place is looking pretty weathered. I don't know if you can see them, but look at these, call them love logs. Wow. Wow. You know, one of the things I noticed when you're out exploring these places, like, why am I speaking so quietly, right? There's some people up on the bridge, but I think they're gone. I think it's just, when it's quiet around you, you just want to be quiet, right? All right, so we're going to come down here and get a few photos, but this is really, it's so overgrown. I don't really anticipate getting any phenomenal photos, but oh well, we're here. We're going to get some photos of an old piece of history. All right, so the old Grange Bridge. Now we have 2 of these trusses right here, one here and one there, supported right in this, basically in the middle of the river. Each one of these spans is 162 feet. So what does that give us? 328 feet, but the bridge itself, if I remember right, is 584 feet. So that means these approaches, which, by the way, this is interesting, a lot of lumber up in here, which I thought was fascinating. Ooh, what do we have here? What do we have here? Well, some folks, ooh, like a lean-to. Folks have been camping out down here. Oh, and I guess, oh, this is a grill. Oh, and this must be this was like a diving platform. You got the ladder down here, up on, made out of an old pallet. That's innovation right there. All right, but here's our bridge. Yeah, the dirty underbelly of it. And this over here is where the mining operations would have begun, right here. And I don't know if I doubt I'm the only one that does this, but you get in these areas, man, it's like you're just spending all this time walking it, exploring it, trying to visualize what it was like back in the day, you know, and you just don't want to leave. I mean, this thing is so overgrown, not a lot to see here, you know, insofar as you can't really access a whole lot of it, but man, it sure is, it's fascinating to explore it and look at it and just wonder what was going on here. Just how busy was this, you know? Wow. All right, we got a little bit closer here. I wanted to see the footings. I mean, look at the size of those big timbers down there. What are those, 12 by 12 inch? They're huge. And on these big concrete footings. Wow. The bottom's looking a little rotten, but looks like we got a few years left in the bridge. But look at this right through here, man. Well, I have to say, man, that not having Louis here to give us some aerial video of that old bridge is, both bridges, is very disappointing. That was kind of the whole premise of coming up here, is I wanted to get some aerial photography, which I don't do a lot of, but I thought that would be fun, and bridges are a great subject for doing aerial photography. So we're going to have to do without. I guess that means I'm coming back. Anyway, let's circle around and come in on the other side. Let's see if, again, Google Earth show we can access it from the other end. And I just want to drive down there because I think that's going to be a cool view of the bridge. We can get some good photos of it over there. So let's head that way. This is a cool side. These canals, I have to look and see what year they were built, but there was actually a dam built upstream of town on the Tuolumne River, and that water was used not just for hydraulic mining, but also for irrigation. So that's, again, that's unusual for a gold mining town. Look at the old road, you guys. Wow. Wow, it does go through. How about that? We'll see how far this takes us. Hopefully to the bridge. All right, our road is open, y'all, as we just saw. And it continues all the way across to the opposite end of the bridge, or the east side. What I wanted to see was this spot right here to see if there's a, he is sending a message of some sort, right? Again, a lot of growth down there in the river channel, but we got a photo. And the sun's off to our right here, so giving a good reflection off the steel beams and all that, so it's photo worthy. I feel like this is it's almost like a final act of desperation. We're gonna see if we can get a time lapse here. There's not a lot of movement in the sky, but the sun's getting low. Maybe we can get a little bit of movement across the bridge, or maybe this will be a bust. I don't know. So if you've well, I should say, if we've made it this far in the video, actually, if this video even exists, the good news is we're able to salvage some of that, some of those video files from Louis, for some of that good aerial stuff. All right, with that being said, enough whining, complaining. It was a good day, man. It just was good to get out. Cloudy this morning, as you saw, but man, it cleared up. It's just brilliant sunlight right now. Clouds in the sky, but no haze. So actually, a really good day for photography. I'm gonna hang around here again, work on the time lapse behind me, see how that turns out, and then I may see if I can get a few shots here at sunset. I'm thinking that's maybe a half hour away, and we're in a really good spot for it. Again, appreciate you tagging along. We'll see you in the next video, which, by the way, this is our last video of 2024. I don't want to give away too much, but our next video, our very first video for 2025, is a video we tried to do early last year, but all that rain just washed out the road. So I'm reading the roads have been repaired, so we got a really good video coming up if it all works out. And that's up in the old Hydra mining camp over near outside of Coalinga. So we'll see how it goes. All right, we'll see you then.